to the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. I'm your host, Roman. We have a terrific show planned for you today. Don't forget to stay tuned to intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station for Warriors Talk with my girl, Rochelle. Tonight, my guest is the phenomenal poet, and he brought a guest with her. So instead of me doing the introductions, you go right ahead and do it. Start it with yourself, my man, Quasi.
Peace. How you doing, Roman?
Doing fine.
And you have to pronounce the Quasi.
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 It rhymes with Tracy.
Okay, gotcha.
Quasi. You always add that Z in there. I'm like, no. But no, I am Quasi, the poet, brand strategist with KGPR. Lived the past 17 years in Hollywood. Recently moved back to Chicago last year as the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events sent me an email to invite me to apply for the inaugural poet laureate position. Though I became a nominee, I wasn't appointed. Disappointed, I decided to stay in Chicago to replant my roots, fight in the good fights of gun violence prevention and mitigation. As you know, poetry empowered me to write, meet, and to forgive the two men who shot and killed my brother Lamont, to make peace with them. While I was in Hollywood, I started my own PR brand strategy firm called KGPR, which provides services and media relations, public relations, lifestyle event producing. Work with clients like, and I'm a name drop, Matt Barnes, NBA champion, Golden State Warriors, played with Kobe, played with Chris Paul, Hill Harper, starting the show The Good Doctor, recently ran for Senate in Michigan. Terrell Owens, Hall of Famer, NFL player. Vinicius Machado starred in True Detective on HBO. Sierra Payton starred as Wendy Williams on the Wendy Williams TV series. Just to name a few. And also one of my favorite clients, Gloria Gavan. She was a reality star. When Matt got traded from Orlando to LA, Shawnee O'Neal franchised the show Basketball Wives LA and cast the show around her and her sister Laura Gavan. So that was a name drop so people could know that, So I moved back to Chicago. I'm transitioning my company from LA to Chicago. And Chicago is a different beast compared to LA. Like in LA, I can go out and I would have clients approach me to represent them. Nonetheless, I'm here, so I got to put my boots back on the ground and I got to go knock on some doors to procure clients. So in which I have a special guest with me, Rosella Bynum, who's been a friend of mine for about 28 years, and she became a client. So this unique relationship and partnership came about through her philanthropy that she's been involved in for over 3 decades. And as a prayer warrior and partner in the community, she hears a lot of stories about, specifically during the holidays, about parents struggling. They're faced with the arduous task of, should I be late for rent or buy my children coat, scarves, gloves for the winter, and or for the holidays, should I buy toys? So nonetheless, she asked me, what should she do? So I was just like, well, you do all this international, national work. Charity starts at home. Do something here. You see some of the challenges parents are facing during this time, i.e. She's hosting her first annual holiday toy drive. She's a senior buyer, executive, philanthropist, entrepreneur. She has her own consulting firm, and she's a mother. So she has passion and concern to help and foster relationships beyond just monetarily, but really a passion to really bear the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, kindness, patience, gentleness. You know what I'm saying? So so that is Rosella Bynum.
Wow. Okay.
So since he did the introduction, tell us about your organization and how it inspired you to do more for the community.
Okay. Well, I want to first start off by saying thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be on IntellectualRadio.com with you, Rome, and your team of people. Thank you very much. It started actually from my childhood. My mother in the church. When I was a young girl, my mother have taken care of a lot of families, allow them to come in and find a safe haven in our home. So the impact of watching my mother be able to selflessly give and help. I mean, I come from a family of 9. And with that, my father deceased when I was like 8 years old. And my mother literally worked day and night to provide for us. And with the help of my dad being a hard worker and leaving us some benefits, my mother extended and built the upstairs to take our home to like a 7-bedroom house. And of course, with that, though there was a many of us, she still took in families. And so I just seen her how she stretched the dollar and still was able to give. So I wanted to be able to be in a position one day to give back. So learning about moral values, and then also in the church, learning about what love is truly is. Love is an action word. It's not what you say, it's what you do. So that's where my roots started from. And then also just being able to take responsibility and be a team player. Growing up, everyone had a part of responsibility. So that taught me structure. But then as I got older, of course, I was able to start I Am the Way, the Truth, and Life Outreach Ministry. It's a not for profit. And I wanted the ministry to be um, about reaching out to the communities and those families, whatever the need is. My mother, coming from another country, she was born in Greece and came here to America. So, and I watched again how, though she was a foreigner person here, she still fell in love with the native people here and was able to build a family here. So that made me want to reach out internationally still. And then my father, of course, is from West Africa. So that made me want to go back to Africa and visit where my roots are there. So I did extend a lot of missionary work overseas, starting from Jerusalem. I traveled there as a young girl, did mission work. I traveled to Rome doing mission work, and also to West Africa. And also right before 2020, I was there. And I got a chance to really experience how the people in West Africa don't have any public assistance, and how fortunate we are here in America to have so many different benefits, and they don't. So my heart went out, and I was able to be on the ground level of those places. Sometimes it was dangerous, as even when I first took the trip to Jerusalem. But of course, I got through all of that. I'm not going to go into details right now, but nevertheless, that's where the real roots start. So I went internationally, and then nationally, I'm a part of Calvary Redemption Outreach Ministry, which is in Skokie, Illinois. I joined a prison outreach team there. So I actually get a chance to travel to different women and men prisons. I'm actually licensed through the South of Mississippi to go into any of the prisons to minister. So we got a chance just this past year to go to prisons for women in Mississippi in the South. So getting a chance to really travel internationally and domestically to see how other people may suffer through things, it keeps you humble. So that's what I do now, and that's.
Tell them about the
I'm gonna-
school through your philanthropy and your donation to the school that you just recently that opened up in Uganda.
Right. So a lot of things I do, I have done secretly, kind of privately. I didn't broadcast it because I just felt like, what you do. I just never made it really public. I just
Why?
wanted. Mm, it didn't. I just felt like God and the people knew what I was doing, and my family. So I think that meant a lot. But my friend Kwesi really was like, Rosella, you're not used to talking about everything you do. I think you should begin to express that so other people can follow along and be encouraged.
And more than anything, she has been behind the scenes. And I said, and I challenged her. I was like, well, all this international work, and you hear the stories about your fellow Chicagoans dealing with these, arduous times, specifically during the holidays. So I was like, why don't you do something here? I mean, charity starts at home. So do something here in your hometown. We chose Skokie because she's a member of Calvary Redemption Center Church in Skokie. She's been a member of that church for 10 years. And so this would be her first annual holiday toy and coat drive. And most recently, she was just appointed executive lead fundraiser for Calvary Redemption Center
Why
Church.
she was disappointed?
Hmm?
Why she would?
No, she was just appointed.
Oh,
just appointed
okay. You said
executive.
it so fast. It
Okay, my
basically was
apologies.
like,
She
yeah.
was just appointed as executive lead fundraiser for Calvary.
Okay, I
Yeah, not just
misunderstood.
appointed. My apologies.
Right.
Appointed.
And
You
I,
know,
Okay.
so she's always been behind the scenes. So I said, you got a great personality. You really have a passion and a concern for others. So she have a spirit of selflessness. And so I said, you gotta speak about this. I mean, because the only way you could truly grow, your message is powerful, but I understand you underwrite a lot of things with your financial donations, but it's okay to reach out and have help from others in the community to help you with your cause, you know? And so I said, let's do this. Let's get the community involved. And let's put your work in the forefront, that your light could be a darkness to be a blessing to others.
Since that happened, you've been on a media tour, so to speak.
yes.
You've been on Fox,
WGN, yes.
WGN,
Mhm.
and other stations. Now you're here on Intellectual. What is the feedback that you've been getting and the outreach of supporting your efforts?
This is all the beginning, and I think small beginnings is definitely to be honored, not despised. Going public, uh, and so used to being behind the scene. Now, I can say today, even being at my corporate office, I had a few employees that from Velmatic, Val and Manufacturing Company in Elmhurst, Illinois. The feedback I got from a few of my colleagues was really inspiring today, and they literally opened up and let me know that they had some, even from my director, like open up and said, "Hey, when I was a child, I struggle with some things that in our family, and how my mother had to go and get help and support. I allow my sons to watch this. I made sure my sons watched your WGN clip, and that was inspired to know that that clip helped he used as a tool to encourage his boys that you're never too young to start and have a vision to help others." And then they was like, well, Dad, they didn't even know that their dad had struggles because he never shared it with them. And when he told me this today, I was like, wow. So that opened up to let me know that, he was able to express to his son without any shame to say, "Hey, no, your dad went through these struggles," to let them know that it's not just easy just because we have a house or we have provision. There's many families that don't. And it will also teach your children to be humble and appreciate what they have, to be thankful. Also, there was another employee who came up to me and was really inspired. Quite a few, they would just begin to open up. And I was, that also is a culture change shift in our work environment. That there's people who do have struggles and have went through struggles, and they're not saying anything about it or haven't shared it. So that was very inspiring for me.
And you've been getting positive feedback on your social media platforms as well, correct?
Oh yes, I have close to 6,000 right now followers, and with the little I have post and share. So
Well, you can have a lot of positive feedback, but have those feedback turned into donations.
it's just started. I do have some offers that's coming up that they want to support me. So that's great. And they have a ways to support. They can actually drop it off or give it to me if I'm nearby. They can go to Take Flight in Skokie, Illinois, to actually drop off their goods, or they can use the QR code to actually give a donation that way as well.
Yeah. So the RSVP link is in her bio at fashion_lights_camera_action. Fashion_lights_action. Fashion
You got it?
underscore lights underscore camera underscore action. So the RSVP link is there, and there you could also find the QR code and or the link for digital donations. So Take Flight Spirits is in Skokie, 8038 Lincoln Avenue. Um, you could drop off a toy, a new unwrapped toy or new coat at Take Flight Spirits. Now you have to go to their website for those specific times. And the unique thing about Take Flight Spirits is that it's a independently owned distillery where they make their own distilled spirits, and they have tasting. So for the adults that may want to drop off a toy or unwrapped new toy or a coat, they'll have the opportunity to do a tasting while there as well. And so the drive has been going on since Friday, November 8th. We encourage everyone to drop off a toy or unwrap coat. And December 8th will be the culminating event, the holiday social mixer, uh, with featuring internationally known Chef Jeff.
Mhm.
He'll be doing complimentary appetizers. You can go to his Instagram at Island Things Chicago, Island TINGS Chicago. He's traveled all over the world and has serviced some
Yes.
dignitaries, kings, princes, and his culinary skills. And also from 2 to 3 p.m., I'll be hosting the open mic, Poetry, Peace, and a Present, where we are encouraging local artists to come out and share their gift with the community for the charitable cause. And that'll be from 2 to 3 p.m. Again, it's at Take Flight Spirits, 8038 Lincoln Avenue, December 8th from 1 to 4 p.m.
People nowadays are struggling to find the Christmas spirit. Find it hard, like the coworkers. They need some light, warm story. They're tired of hearing what's going on,
Mm.
the bad news
Yes.
going on and on and on. Shootings, robberies, what happened downtown, just a tree lighting turned into violence. And the other day, another person got robbed right in front of Channel 2 studios.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, how can your organization transform a negative into a positive? Because they're struggling to get into that spirit of giving.
Yes, and I'm so glad you're right on point. Bring back my conversation I had earlier this morning with one of the colleagues. He said, Rosella, it was so refreshing to hear on the news something positive because all I hear is negative, and I was so discouraged to even watch it. And I said, let me listen to your clip. And he said, it was so inspiring. So you're absolutely right. I heard that this morning. So people they're hungering for something positive and not all the negative. So we have to shine a light. We have to make a difference, each individual. When we shine a light, and we do that by our acts of deeds and being positive. Maybe there's a lot of negative I hear, even at the election.
Don't get me
But I'm
started
not
on
right.
the
It was
election,
people. I
please.
mean, I had a coworker crying. I had a coworker crying, and then all day, like literally, it was like a damper for a lot of people. And so, what I turned that around and said, how do we move forward from this? We need to find solutions. And I encouraged them by saying, let's bring your families together and let's stick together in unity and have faith. How do you do that? I mean, literally, people are like, we don't even want to turn the TV on. We're angry. And I was like, but you can make a difference. Are you going to let this hinder you because of how the outcome came? What's in you that can make a difference?
Right. And I'm gonna add to that because one of the things as a believer and one of faith, one of the things that we are taught not to have in our home is negative media, because it make you become numb to the pain and hurt that others are feeling, and you don't share compassion or have empathy for them. And one of the things that I learned, and I guess it's just the sensationalism of negative stories, because if it's not a bleed story, it's not a lead story. And a lot of outlets are taking that approach to have or to always focus on the crime that takes place in our community, opposed to the human interest stories that people like Rosella, myself, you, with this platform, giving us the opportunity to share the positive things that are going on in the community. Like, as you know, for me to even talk about, I wrote, met, and forgave the two men who shot and killed my brother to make peace with them, specifically during the holidays. To share this type of story will help any human being delve into themselves, to heal themselves during the holidays, that they could find the joy within themselves, that you forgive someone for causing you pain or hurt. You don't forget what they may have done to you, but you don't internalize that pain and hurt yourself. That in which you can create your own joy because you have your freedom from the emotions of anger, hate, bitterness, trauma, and anger from those particular negative or traumatizing situation. Unfortunately, Roman, we live in a community or a city where you have the have and have nots. We live in a gun cultural society. So we're not going to stop gun violence. Unfortunately, we can mitigate it and prevent it. But until we deal with the root cause of crime, gun violence, domestic violence, uh, substance abuse, imprisonment, and suicide, the root cause of that is trauma. And until we deal with that, our society or our city will continue to face these social ills in a way in which that going outside is going to be unbearable. I mean, like you stated, the Christmas light show turns into violence. Someone gets robbed in front of a TV network. It's like
Mhm.
right now in our city or our country, no environment is safe, from the church to the movie theaters to
Mhm.
just going to a holiday celebration, because everybody is on edge. Everybody is emotionally distraught. Everybody is, for some form of fashion or reason, is angry, bitter. And so, one thing, even if it's just like you bump into somebody in a crowded situation at a light festival, that probably could have set someone off to what started, the violence. So
And yeah, I think as you were saying, a lot of things is stem from suppressed anger, and it's not handled properly. I believe in this is the season where um, the Issachars of our time. And what do I mean by that? If we look at history, the sons of Issachar, they understood the season and time they were in. And when we understand that, um, we rise up and bring the solution to what's happening. We don't give up. So
but
our
explain
faith
to the
have to.
listeners what was the time that they were in, that they was facing, for them to rise up.
There was war. If you go all the way back in history, there's always been war. There's always been hunger. If we go back to our history as African American people, what did they do in a time where they did take the Word of God, the Bible, and use it against us? Unfortunately, even when our ancestors came from Africa and they had Jesus written on the ships, a lot of people don't even want to look at a Bible or read a Bible because they feel like, Christ is the Antichrist. That was it's a false doctrine. We have different religious backgrounds, and I believe that each of us was made in God image. Whether if some of us may not believe in a God, but we are super beings, and we are able to manifest things because of where we come from, and we all have gifts and talents in us. And how do we pull that out? We do that by understanding who we are and that we're loved.
Let me chime in for a minute. Right now, as we speak, you mentioned the election. We mentioned what happened downtown this weekend. We mentioned your organization that presents very positive influence on young people and parents. Right now, our faith, no matter what religious outcome you're
Mhm.
in, our faith is almost at a zero. How can you lift it back up? Because no matter what you do, it's a backwards flip. Then some people would say, you're in a storm. My auntie says this all the time, and I impart my French, and I owe Earl so much money for saying expletives on the radio, and forgive me for this. What the hell are you talking about when you say, "Oh, praise God, you're in a storm. I hope it's a big storm and you'll get it." And I'm like, what the hell do you mean by that? A blessing is going to come. Then I find $1 on the damn street. I mean, I'm like, where is the blessing? And for people, I know you want to laugh, but I'm not trying to say it to be funny, but people are going through and their
Storms.
faith
It's
is
been tested.
not there.
I think we ourselves, each individual, having a listening ear and having compassion, understanding. Don't just throw me a biblical scripture and I don't have understanding of that. I don't have revelation of what you're talking about. I don't even go to church. You know, some would say I don't even believe in a God. But you be that light and love that shine and taking and looking, putting yourself in their shoes.
But
You know what I
how?
mean? By
But
being there
Listen,
and being a
listen.
listening and showing acts of love,
Yes.
doing what can you do? Just sometimes me just listening to letting them release whatever negativity they're feeling and just really listening and then being the sign of hope. What can I do? What do I have in me that I can do for them? Number one, on my own, I could pray. But if it's an act of love of do they need something? Am I able to meet that need? I have so many people literally that so many examples all week. I don't just do a regular job. I feel that my real work is when I come home and I'm up late at night and I would take a call and I would listen. I had someone just now call me on last night, say, Rosella, thank you so much. I really just needed someone to hear me. And I just listened
Yeah.
and encouraged them as well.
And so, to expound on that, yes, we are in some arduous times, from our personal lives to our social lives, family, and the political dynamic that our country has faced over these past several years with COVID, with the economy. Um, so, how does one find hope in a storm that he or she may be going through? And that depends on ultimately your faith and the faith that you choose to, practice. Because faith is not about sight, you know, belief isn't about sight. It's about things, evidence of things that are not seen. Faith without work is dead. You know you believe in something when you work towards. You know you believe you have faith when you work toward that which you don't believe in, which you can't see. And so I just think it's important for us as individuals and at the collective to be able to have platforms like yours to share our stories of hope, of
Restoration.
restoration
Mm-hmm.
and reconciliation with ourselves and with others. I mean, it's no pie in the sky solution, Roman. It's just that all of us, in some form or fashion, have to be an ear to our fellow man. Because sometimes, as Rosella just stated, we need someone to listen to our pain and our hurt because we just want to vent. Like when we talked a week or so ago, and you vented to me about the political dynamic in America, and you went on a tyrant for about 10 to 15 minutes. And so,
but I had Night Train in front of me.
so, but still, you still had someone that you could talk to and let it out and vent, that you didn't internalize it. Yes, you might have had a little happy juice or a little escape juice with it, but more than anything, you had someone that you knew that you could talk to and be vulnerable with and let out how you was feeling.
But that's the problem. You cannot trust people to tell your problems because it's like the girlfriend that you trust, she backstabbed you. She told somebody else. She told the congregation. You know that sister in the congregation that goes blah 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 blah
Mhm.
and knows all her business.
Yeah, but see, these are the things about human beings. We are insecure and depressed and sad. We take how we may be feeling about ourselves and we take somebody else's pain and we become quote unquote the unofficial street journalists and sharing that information because we don't feel good about who we are. So we want to blast someone else and shine shade on them,
Mhm.
And so and this is the thing, and this is why I'm thankful that God has blessed me with my story. Despite how arduous and tumultuous and the trauma that I've been through, I am still healing from that. I've just recently learned through spiritual counseling that me not having my father in my life caused me to have trauma and behavioral issues because men who grow up without the in fatherless homes or their father's not present in their house, we develop behavioral problems from anger, hate, self-hate, bitterness, rage. We drop out of school at an early age, grammar school or high school. We become drunkards. We become promiscuous because we're looking for love in all the wrong places. Like right now, i.e., any black man in America that's grown up without their father could be Diddy, because Diddy's father was killed at 3. He grew up without his father. And so from that standpoint, I know I've been in that situation. So how do we as black men deal with and face with how the quote unquote enemy, the government, has treated us? Because they told the black woman in the 1970s, in order for you to receive this general assistance, that black man or the father can't be there. So now, 40, 50, 60 years later, we're still seeing this effect that women with having children, or father can't be there, they keep having children to get more and more of that subsidy. And so, and then women have been taught, oh, you don't need a man. You don't need a man. I mean, I believe, Beyonce falsely misled a generation of women. You got to put a ring on it. No, I think you have to spiritually get to know someone, who they are, where they are, what they're going through, and help them pull back the layers of the relationship, because putting a ring on it and then we don't have a true understanding of each other in our authentic spaces. You had a ring, but you won't have my heart or my mind. And then my heart and my mind and my physical prowess as a man will be in other gardens watering the field there.
Your organization deals with a lot of youth. You see different personalities.
Yes.
Do you see, especially with black men, what Quasi is talking about?
I do. I see a lot of black men that have been broken and hurt. Um, I have testimonies where a lot of black men have been raped, went through molestation. It's not just women. A lot of times we focus a lot on the female. I'm gonna be honest. The abuse of a female um, from the male side, the molestation. I believe, you know, my faith. God created man first. That's just what it was, and we came from your womb. Here come woman to be a helpmate. But I do believe that that's overlooked a lot lately this season. I've been talking to a lot of men I knew, and they really have opened up to me. And it's heartbreaking. I had literally had to pray the other day, just going home, say, God, take these thoughts away from me, because I can feel their hurt and pain and what they're going through. But I'm very thankful that they felt confidence to be able to share that kind of transparency of what happened to them. And you would never know.
I want to pose this question to the both of you.
Okay.
Okay? He feels the tangent coming on when I do like this, because it's true. Every person, including last week, they have this saying, hurt people hurt people. I hate it. I don't like that saying, because why should you hate me and I didn't do nothing to you? I can walk by because you feel with so much hate. You want to do something to me.
Because from a
Outlet of I believe it's an outlet of release. They haven't released it, and they don't know how. That's their way of releasing that anger. So it's a lack of knowledge. It's less a lack of them having someone to talk
But
to.
how they release it?
We will hope that they get the help they need and they can find someone that could listen to them, and get the mental therapy that they need too. We all can go to therapy. No one is exempt.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but see,
Black
all right,
blacks don't
let me interject.
don't
Let me
don't go to
interject.
therapy.
Let me
Go
interject.
ahead.
Because we live in a society. Basically, I think it was, what is it, 72, when Ford, not Ford, was president, or
Nixon?
or Reagan, when they started pulling back the mental health and wellness services in America, and started taking away the those services where people, they was not feeling well, had anxiety, stress, depression. When you took those services away, it put our cities, neighborhood, countries, family, and an emotional state hysteria. And now today, that's the number one issue in the world right now is suicide. The World Health Organization report that nearly 100,000 people each year around the world take their lives via suicide. The CDC reported last year that
Especially this time of
yeah,
year.
and 53,000 Americans took their lives last year. And so people are hurt across the board, regardless what their ethnic background is, regardless of what your faith is, regardless of what your social economic background is. Because money doesn't answer it. Money may answer all things in physical world, but money doesn't answer all things when you yourself haven't found your belief and your and the most high. And so when you hurt, and I agree with people, hurt people do hurt people, Roman, because listen, if you don't know how to process that pain and hurt, what do we tend to do all of our life as children, specifically men? Oh, you can't cry. Be strong. Ain't no crying here. You're a young man. You're not no boy, So we're taught to suppress our feelings or
But
swoop in on
women
them.
say that too. It's not
Yes, no, no,
judgment.
no, 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 no. I'm saying across the board. Across the board. Women are taught in a sense that they could be emotional, that they could be sensitive, but still they're dealing with a lot of issues too from fatherless homes or abuse or seeing their mother dealing with domestic violence in the home. So as human beings in America, we are hurting across the board for many, many challenging situations, from as Rosella may say, from molestation, child abuse, child neglect, latchkey kids, mom single, working 2, 3 jobs just to make ends meet, living in our urban communities where daily, specifically in Black and Brown communities, it's like a war zone. I was just looking at the website heyjackass.com. Heyjackass.com. It is the most detailed database on gun violence in Chicago year to date. It tells you specifically in a nanosecond where someone was shot, what neighborhood, what zip code, what block, and then to the point on the body where someone may have shot in the head, in the buttocks, in the hip, or what have you. And so, yeah, crime may be down under Mayor Brandon 17%, but nonetheless, that's political rhetoric. Because when one person, or 2 people, or 10 people, or 100 some people get shot during a holiday weekend, it's just unacceptable, you know. And I think we need creative initiatives to deal with these social ills. But hurt people, and heal people. And so you sharing your platform with us and talking about that, like I know every day I'm healing from one, me recognizing through spiritual counseling that I dealt with trauma all my life, not having my father in my life. Secondly, the murder of my younger brother. That crushed me to the point where I didn't know how to accept or receive love. That my marriage, I was a failure in my marriage. And having those behaviors of promiscuity, drunkenness, being self-destructive, not understanding what was causing this type of behavior. But now, through spiritual counseling, being aware that, oh, you grew up without your father. Like my father was not present in my home at all. One, when he was 19, back in the day, they did extracurricular activity. He was doing drugs. My mom said, back then they used to sniff glue out of brown paper bag to get high. That messed up his capacity to think for himself, let alone his children. But prior to that, my mom said my dad was a great man, a great provider. But when he got sick, my dad's been living at my grandmother's basement since he was 19 years of age. So he's never been a part of my life in any shape, form, or fashion, other than me going to visit him and saying, hi, Dad, holidays, birthdays, or things of that nature. Other than that, none father-son relationship, none whatsoever. So I recently learned that traumatized me, unbeknownst to myself. But me growing up without the father, I thought that was just the norm, you know. And so, but I that allowed me to get to the root of my pain, hurt, and trauma in my life, outside of my brother being, tragically murdered, but the my father not being in my life. So now going through this metamorphosis and this spiritual retreat that I've been on the past 2 years since I've been in Chicago, it has allowed me to look at the ugliness of who I am as a human being, to find the beauty who I am. as a human being, that I may go in the community and share my story to be a beacon of light in darkness, to help people heal, or at least get people on that path of self discovery, unlearning some things to relearn some things.
Your organization have a multifaceted array of programs. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it's important to branch and to join forces with other organizations. Calvary Redemption Center Outreach is the church I attend. What really drew me to that ministry, first of all, I met Pastor Ebenezer Day when I had a construction company, and he was actually co-pasting at another church before he actually had his church. He's from Ghana, him and his wife, and so I helped to establish his organization with the tax exemption, which is, of course, a 501c3, and my business, Build Your Business Consulting Services. So business, my background in business. So I hope to get him started. But what I really love about the culture he brought here was the outreach. Like, he teaches the Word of God through the Bible, but it's more practical. Like, we can't just come here every Sunday and pray together and not go out to the communities. So that really inspired me a
But
whole
some
lot.
churches believe that. Not to interrupt, but
Yes.
some churches do believe that, though.
Right. Yes, there are many, and that's great. So do that, having that also support there, that like they come together, we come together and they support one another. We support each other in our endeavors. So that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and then
Having
also
a supportive
too,
team.
I'll speak to this on her behalf. She's truly at the rudiment of her journey and reestablishing the intimacy or the social impact initiative. Like, as you may know, we did the social impact initiative Ceasefire. Memorial Weekend, unfortunately, in Chicago is one of the most violent weekends in Chicago, and it's been that way for the past 15 to 20 years. And though I was in Hollywood, the past 17 years, I would see the horrendous news that made national news in Los Angeles regarding, oh, Chicago had 50 people shot and killed, or 75 people shot and killed. And like every year, it was just tragic story of gun violence and shooting in the city of Chicago. So since I moved back, I said, if I'm gonna be home this Memorial Weekend, I'm going to do something about it. And so I partnered with Rosella and her company to help facilitate that social impact initiative that weekend, where we did poetry and comedy on the block in Inglewood. That Friday, we was at Build Chicago. That Saturday, that Sunday, we were at DuSable Museum, and then we ended the weekend at the Daily Plaza with comedy and poetry. And so we're still in the process of implementing, organizing, and planning other social impact initiatives. But Chicago, ooh, I'm learning it is very political. It's very cliquish, and if you don't have the relationship,
And you just learning that?
no, I mean I knew it, but coming back, it's on a whole nother level now.
Because
Even the street gangs are not even
and-
gangs no more. It click. So it's like 10 to 12 or 15 brothers that are in a clique that say, yo, you beefing with my block, we get a body, you got a body, and we just, spraying up the block for no particular reason. But yeah, it's very clicking. And like I've had somebody tell me, because I'm in the gun violence prevention space, and really seeking to stop and mitigate and prevent. Correction, we're not gonna stop it. I'm a realist. But I had a few people, specifically public figures, tell me, Quasi, don't be shocked if you get some pushback from the powers that be, because they really don't want to stop gun violence, because you're going to be messing with their bag. And they need this gun violence to continue to take place so they can get the bag to, quote unquote, like they're engaged in the community to prevent it. There's certain organizations
to do the bare minimum.
They just pushing paper. You know what I'm saying? They get $1 million in grants, but pushing paper. No true engagement. No, I'm going to go out first and foremost deal with the trauma. Like now they created this new term called intervention, where they really focus on 18 to 24, 18 to 35-year-olds. What about prevention with the kids K through 12? Because if we prevented and mitigate it from K through 12th grade. We don't have to have a strong space and intervention.
I want to say this and then I want to move to you. We got to do something with the music. We
Oh.
really got to do something with the music.
That is the calendars of what's going on.
We got to do something with what's going on with the realities. We had this conversation before, and it's just, I said this on my show when it was starting to get out of control. Had several community leaders, and I said, are these teens purging out here? Are they just going up, playing a game, what they play on the video games like auto thefts and stuff like that? They said, no, Roman. How many people, I will not name names, but afterwards I will. But they each, and I want people to check the record. Go back on my page and look. Every single time they said no. And guess what happened? It is official. They are purging out here. They are singling people out. Not only for not doing nothing, to have, it's called taking away souls.
It's a scoreboard, body for body.
Body for body.
Yes.
And that is a shame. And we need to address it. But hold on. Because we are running out of time.
Okay.
So
An
hour went by that quick.
so we need to talk about, you're saying new. If somebody has gently used items, can they still donate?
Yes, they can.
Toys, but not coats and gloves, because you're dealing with children with lice. So we have specifically as mothers, they don't want that type of
We won't-
medical ill.
We won't be able to give it out right away.
Just
We'll have
wait.
to get them clean.
Yeah.
So that's why donations do help, because we won't give the gently used any items of clothes without being actually clean. So we'll have to clean it before we can distribute. That's why we mentioned new, because we can easily distribute those quicker. But anything gently used, I say we could take it. We just have to do another path of sanitation. That's all.
And so and that's why we ask for digital donations, because that's another added cost that one has to go to either the cleaners and or the laundry to properly clean those things. But I want to circle back because
I'm getting a hard wrap.
Okay.
I got the listener Earl. So please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station how they can get a hold of you and you.
My Instagram handle is Kwesi the Brand, KWERSI the Brand, THEBRAND, and the RSVP link is in my bio that you could RSVP for Rosella Bynum's first annual holiday toy and coat drive at Take Flight Spirits, 8038 Lincoln Avenue, 1 to 4 p.m. on December 8th.
Yes, and my social media handle is Lights Camper Action _ action. Or you can go to I Am the Way to Truth and Life Outreach Ministry, or my name, Rosella Bynum, and my photo will come up and will lead you to those links. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure having you here.
Ryan, no doubt. Thank you again for sharing.
That's going to do it for us on Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, Wanda, who is behind the scenes. You guys have a wonderful week.